welcome to our panelists.
Hello. Hello, my name is Alfredo Santana. I'm a professor from Tec de Monterrey, Department of Industry and Engineering. You know I'm the local one because I get the nice coffee chair. And I have the honor here to chair the scenario with these four brilliant gentlemen. And as a professor, I'm in charge of making an oral examination. We have provided them the questions in advance, but I decided to change them because it's an oral examination. Okay. So let's start with Jorge Rojas. Okay, Jorge. How has the transition to electric vehicles changed the talent needs in industry?
Thank you. Coming back to that question, definitely the electromobility is changing. This is a reality. The skill set that we need to have in our teams needs to increase. Definitely, when we see the new trends and technology, we for sure need to foster pretty much AI. We already discussed a little bit about AI. We also need to improve mainly the skill set that we have in system engineering. This is also another domain which is increasing a lot. And definitely the idea behind everything is how we can be more efficient. Efficiency is a key. And efficiency will need to trigger exactly how we can automate as much as possible, how we can also utilize and reuse as much as possible in our daily basis.
Okay, thank you, Jorge. Now let's go with Edu. He have the microphone. Can you elaborate a little more about the question, and also can you tell us what are the hardest competencies to find in industry?
Absolutely. Thank you for the question. I agree with Jorge in principle. When we talk about electrification, as he mentioned, is a transformation completely in the industry, automotive industry, and not only coming from the electrification, because we used to have electric vehicles in the past coming from GM, Toyota, for instance, but now with the revolution coming from Teslas, and the Chinese OEMs, this is not talking only about electrification. We are talking that these new vehicles are bringing new technologies, breakthrough technologies, such as connectivity, as was mentioned in the previous panel, connectivity, autonomous driving, and different technologies. So this is bringing challenges from two different perspectives. The direct challenge is coming from technologies from electrification, and we're talking about competencies, all that has to do with batteries, energy management, power electronics, and all of this, recycling for the batteries in the manufacturing side. So all of these competencies are needed to be brought at larger scale in the country, because we have some specialists that are able to manage those topics. However, when we talk about volume, we are behind our peers at the global scale. But also we have some indirect impacts coming from this electrification trend, and it's, as I mentioned, autonomous. Tesla claimed to have this full self-driving, which, David, when I look at you, probably you will struggle with this, not really, right? It's a autopilot probably with cameras and so on and so forth. But also they came with larger screens, for these advanced HMI solutions. So this is triggering needs in terms of competencies for, larger displays, advanced HMI, cameras, lidars, radars, and so on and so forth. But also needs in terms of connectivity, wireless, cellular, 5G, 6G, low latency communication solutions. And this is, as I mentioned, we are starting to ramp up in the specialization for our engineers. However, we need to speed up.
Okay, thank you. And now let's go with Luis.
Thank you.
Edu gave us a very comprehensive list of challenges that we are facing. What is, in your opinion, the most urgent one in this transition?
Well, definitely in the electronic industry, especially in the automotive industry, definitely from my point of view is software. Of course, you already mentioned the system domain, but software as a senior level, from my point of view, is one of the most important and key players, and is one of the hardest one to really find in the field. I'm not talking about junior level. I think in that part, I think the schools are doing a good job in general. I think we need more, even that. But as a senior level, I think software engineering, system engineering. But talking about all the new trends and new technologies, also we need to think about, for instance, cybersecurity engineers, functional safety engineers. Those are definitely very, very complex to really find them in the field, and also to retain them in our companies, because at the end of the day we are competitors each other, which is very good as well. Even when we are in Guadalajara, I know here Querétaro is a very strong state as well, Guanajuato, and I think those from my point of view are the key players. And for instance, in Hela we have specific programs dedicated to really be able to find those type of talents.
Perfect.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. So let's go back with Edu again. How do you evaluate the preparation of Mexican talent in the areas of engineering and advanced technology?
Well, this is a mix. Let me start with the positive side of the evaluation. We as Mexican talent, Mexican engineering teams, we are highly regarded outside the country, in countries such as the US, Germany, and Canada, for instance, and many others, Australia, and so forth, because we are perceived to have a strong technical background, which is true, and we are perceived as flexible engineering with adaptive mindset, creative, as mentioned as well in the previous panel. However, when it comes to highly specialized, we have some strong examples. For instance, in Continental, in Guadalajara and Querétaro as well, we have proudly several experts at the global scale. So, meaning we have the level of expertise for technology development from Mexico to the world. So we have good examples. However, when it comes to volume, again we struggle. From the local industry perspective, from my experience, when we try to hire graduates from the universities, they have strong as well theoretical technical background. However, when we do all this interview process, let me put an example. When we try to hire, let's say we have 100 positions available for hiring, okay? Out of those 100 positions, we get 3,600 applications from the market, from the people, and out of those, we filter out 95% of the people, meaning only 5% gets to the interview. And out of that, only 2% gets hired. So from those 100 positions we have available, we can only fill 60, 70%, and the remaining 10% is there. We leave the positions in the table, and unfortunately, we are leaving opportunities for growth, for investment, and know-how transfer, and so on and so forth. So what happens if we are fortunate? This gets delayed, but most likely this will get transferred to different countries, such as India, Romania, China, and you mentioned, right? So we are, falling behind in terms of specializing talent at the speed the technology needs, the industry needs, to satisfy the demand.
Thank you. Now let's go with Luis. Do you think it's a problem of not having enough engineers, or having engineers who doesn't have enough technical specialized skills?
Very good question. I think from a point of view, we don't have enough engineers. I think we need to work even in the primary schools, kindergarten, to really switch that mindset. We know that in Mexico, most of the population decides to go for, let's say, traditional careers like admin topics or, medical other kind of things, and I think we need to still pushing from the government, from the companies, to really try to push in the direction to the technical careers, the science and technology, to really have more people graduated from the engineering perspective. I agree with Edu about the bottleneck that we have when we are hiring, I don't know, 5 open positions, 10 open positions, depending on the project that we have. A lot of people cannot make it, but I think in general it's because also the degree of knowledge and background and experience. So I think the demanding of the current industry, automotive industry is increasing a lot. I know that the future of the electromobility and all these mega trends is happening already. And Mexico, I think, is in a very good position, and I'm pretty sure that this will still increasing, and that's why I think we need more engineers in the field.
Thank you so much. Now, let's welcome Niels. So, what is the situation of talent engineering in Germany?
I think there is not such a high demand as you just described anymore, but still, I'd like to add to what you said, Luis. When it comes to special fields like security or software update over the air or any other very specific part, it could also be architecture, for example, then it is very difficult to find the right people, and that's why we created our certification program, because it gives a chance to have a well-defined path to get it, to be an expert and to develop to an expert. And the second thing, which we already managed quite well in Germany, is to work closer together with the universities. Because that's what you said. When it comes to value, there's a problem. But with our entry-level certificates integrated into the university curriculum, you get a jump start into that topic, and you can build up on that. Because what we learned, we started with the certification program as an expert program, and then we noticed, okay, sometimes the base is missing on which we want to build up. That's where we started with the associate program, which can be used in order in the companies to onboard freshers more quickly, but it's even better to start at the university level. So compared to Germany, I think here we have the next step, which we can take in Mexico, to work closer together with the universities at one hand and create development paths more into companies to build the experts.
Okay, so let's go back to Luis. What efforts are you making to collaborate with local universities and research centers as an industry?
Well, for instance, in Fort Viajela, we have a specific program we call Boost program, which is a link between the universities, the most important ones in Guadalajara, which develop engineers. For the students that are pretty much in the last part of the career, in the 7-8 semester, and then we start collaborating with them, and we have a commitment with them. We cannot hire. It is not hired directly by us. It's hired by a third party, but we have a commitment to have an open position for them available. Obviously, we need to work with them and make sure that they are meeting the expectations. But we are working in this program with all these universities, and I can tell you, here I have my 3 software managers. They have already in their teams people who are coming from that program. But this is not enough. We need to do more. We need to integrate more the collaboration with the universities together with the governments. I heard in the previous panel, we need to push the governments. It's not enough as well. I know that the Secretary of Sustainability was here in the morning. He was saying a lot of things that they are doing, which is great, but we need to do more. We need to push from all sides, from the students, from the schools, from us as a company, to really go in the right direction.
Okay, thank you. So let's go now with Jorge. Could you share with us a successful history of academia-industry collaboration?
Correct. Yeah. Similar cases that this is explaining. So we have the Coastal Academy, which is including trainees, pretty much internships programs in the way they at least in the pretty much 8 or 9 semester when they're getting ready to the market. So we put it on board and we have to work with them. What we will find already is trying to update the curriculum. Sometimes it's challenging. It's very challenging because the structure, because we have to somehow leverage resources everywhere. So sometimes even to place a laboratory could be challenging as well. Okay, so success story could be, let's move it the other way around. Trying to find combine a fund, combine, for instance, public and private funds, and the way that we can dedicate it to innovation. That would be great. We're trying to do it. We're looking also at possibilities outside of Mexico as well. Costa is a German company as well, so we're trying to do it in that direction. We try to copy and paste, something like this. We're far away. However, we have the aim to look for it and try to make it real.
Okay, thank you so much. And in this panel and in the previous one, here you have Neil, we have talked about pushing the government. So how the German government help companies, universities to collaborate with each other?
Yeah, there are some funds, of course, to deal with the money issues, but in general, there's not so much needed. The government just needs to create an environment where it is easy to work together. But I think, from my perspective, it is more important that the industry and the university sit together. Because the industry has the knowledge and the demand, and the universities have the talents, and we need to bring this together.
Perfect. I have another question for you. What innovations or good practices from other countries, not only Germany, you have traveled a lot, could be applied to the talent strategy that Mexico needs?
Yeah, I like the approach of what we call bridging the gap between university and industry. And here we see that programs like Juan mentioned, if they are set up properly, they are really speeding up the talent education and the talent building.
Okay, thank you so much. So let's go with Jorge. You mentioned the difficulty of changing the academic curricula. If you could change the academic curricula of tomorrow, what would you change to better adapt or align education with the industry needs that you have right now?
Yeah, that will be a couple of topics that I would like to go into. The first one, of course, cybersecurity and functional safety is already mentioned as well. This is a trend. Pretty much we have to do it. There's no way around, right? But in the other side, it's important not to forget the soft skills. We have to give the engineers, the new engineers, skills that they should be able to communicate effectively, and that the way that they can explain their ideas and be a little less engineers sometimes, give the room to be free and the opportunity to create, because this is exactly what we need. Of course, we need frameworks. Every company has a framework. However, it's important to sometimes give some room in innovation.
Perfect. Okay, so I want to ask Luis, what public policies could it help to attract talent, not only from Mexico, but from other countries who want to come to Mexico to work? How can we transform as a country to become an attractive, sexy country for engineers to come and develop code here?
Yeah. Only difficult question.
I'm a professor.
Yeah, Mexico is a beautiful country. We need to start from that, right? Of course, we have a situation that we know about security and things like that. But from my point of view, we are in a very good position. I think Mexico in the region, in NSA region, is of course best cost country. So, and I think, I mean, if you are talking about for people in US or people in Germany, it's kind of difficult, honestly speaking. The contracts are quite difficult to get an environment as an expats contract and so on. But I think for other countries like Romania, like I don't know, in East Europe or even India and Vietnam, Mexico is very attractive for them. I think in terms of development, in terms of career path and growth, and also in terms of economical situation for them. And I think what we are doing right now, I was hearing in the other panel, a lot of new R&D centers and are coming more. So I think the offers will be there. We are growing, of course. Right now we know that the automotive industry is under a lot of challenge with all these tariff topics and Chinese market and Chinese competitors and so on. But I think we are in a good position to really be a very attractive country again for countries similar in terms of cost like Mexico.
Okay, thank you. We're going to finish with one last question for Edu.
Yes.
We have a lot of exatecs working in Silicon Valley, in Seattle, in Europe, and this talent is needed here in Mexico. What the government and companies can do and universities to retain that talent in Mexico?
That's a tough question. That's a good question, but thanks for the question anyway. A lot to do, actually, a lot to do. First of all, we need to do our homework. I'm talking about government, industry, and academy, because it is frustrating for the students to spend 4.5 years in the university, and then once they graduate, they need to spend 9 more months or up to 1 year of what I call ramp up in the industry, which is pretty much a reskilling efforts, right? Because they don't get the competencies we need in the industry in these 4.5 years. So that's frustrating. We need to avoid that or improve at least. Secondly, once they are in the industry, we need to keep them challenged. I mean, of course, salary and benefits counts, but it's difficult for us to compete with Silicon Valley. So we need to counterweigh that with challenges, technical challenges, and growth opportunities. One example I have from Continental, it's and this is something we need to negotiate every day with executives from abroad. And we have, fortunately, we have highly specialized talent already in our R&D centers, top notch. However, some of the challenges, the projects they send to us are low skill requirements. So we need to keep negotiating this because it doesn't help to have experts in matter when we are challenging them with low, expertise tasks. So that's a second one. And also, I believe we need a better alignment with the government and the academy to install technology hubs and innovation hubs, so they are able to experiment and interact with researchers from university. So we have 2 benefits here, well actually 3. First benefit is the researchers from the universities. They get to work on the solutions or industry-ready solutions, and not only pure investigation or research topics, right? So this is very much needed. Second one, of course, the students will get the opportunity to experience this innovation, R&D, new technologies. So hopefully in the future, we are able to develop our own technologies from the country, and that will be a motivator for the people to be here, to work here. And lastly, of course, the companies get the benefit to invest and collaborate together with the research centers and be more competitive in having ready solutions, industry-ready solutions or new technologies instead of trying to start from scratch developing the technology with their own in-house engineers, right? So that's the way I would approach this.
Okay, thank you so much for our panel. If you think these four general approved the oral examination, please give them a round of applause.
Thank you.